Hello, I've just been asked to do number 1 of session 4.5, and the question says, find a number in the closed interval between 1/2 and 3/2 such that the sum of the number and its reciprocal is A, as small as possible, and B, as large as possible. Now, the first thing that occurs to me is that after we've talked several times about, reciprocal, it's kind of hard to think about what do we mean by that. So we're going to have, let's say, let x be equal to the number. Then we're going to say let y be equal to the reciprocal. So basically, y is equal to 1 over x because we're assuming that the reciprocal is the multiplicative inverse. Okay? So then what we're saying is that we have a function, so we can say that y is equal to 1 over x, and so what we want to do is maximize the sum. So the sum is equal to the number x plus its reciprocal, which is 1 over x. So the first thing that I would do is say, well, I'm going to graph this function. X is the number, and 1 over x is its reciprocal. So the sum looks like this. So in between 1/2 and 1/2, or 3/2, it looks like this. So it looks like the minimum is going to be sort of right around here, and the maximum is going to be at one of the endpoints, which is either 2.5 or, 1/2 or 1.5. And it looks to me like this one is larger than this one. So the maximum, to be as large as possible, is going to be at the endpoint, which is at 1/2. That's why they call it the closed interval. Now, the minimum, we're going to have to find the derivative, right? So we can find the derivative of this. I know that you guys know how to do that, so I'm going to just use Sketchpad to say, define the derivative, and the derivative is 1 plus -1 over x squared, because you know that this is the same thing as x to the -1 power. So that using the power rule, you get -1 over x to the power of 2, or -1 times x to the -2, which is written like that. So what we want to do is set this equal to 0. And another way to think about that is I'm going to graph that function, and what we see is that what we want to do is say, where does the derivative equal 0? Well, the derivative appears to equal 0 when x is equal to 1, which is the minimum point here. Another way we could think about that is if I go to calculus here, and I'm going to take the tangent of this, and I can put the tangent anywhere I want here. And so I'm going to move the tangent to find out where the derivative is 0, and it looks like right there. The derivative of the tangent is 0 when it's about at 1. Sketchpad isn't perfect, but it's basically at 1. So what we're saying then is that the minimum amount is when x is 1. So 1 plus its reciprocal, which is also 1, is equal to 2. So let's try a number, say, before that. What happens at 1/2? Then you're saying 1/2 plus the reciprocal of 1/2, which is 2, would be 2.5. So that's why that's the maximum. And as you can see, the minimum is when this derivative is equal to 1. So I hope this helped.